Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Tashana. Let's get into this. So, hi guys. No alien talk this evening. No periodic table this evening. But the creator wanted us to have a discussion, all right? Now, if you're new here, welcome. Here on Inappropriate Radio, we discuss everything from spirituality to religion and everything in between. Science, astrology, astronomy, social events, psychology, and spiritual warfare, right? We like to relate everything back to the spirit world, right? That's the whole premise of this podcast, spiritual warfare, right? Now, we had a discussion a few days ago about the timing of your awakening, right? This evening we're going to be discussing immunity, and this immunity is needed physically and spiritually, right? Sounds crazy, but if you know, you need dirt to build your immunity, right? Now, the other day, we talked about how people who are coming into, their awakening now kind of skipped hurdles. They didn't have to ride out or thug it out, right? This is kind of easier for them because the vibration of the all, right, is a little higher than it was a few years ago. So those who are just coming in, they're a little less evolved, right? So the people, and I'm speaking in terms of the age of the spirit, right? People who have started their awakening a few years ago, they're a few cycles older, right? They have the ability to function and have their, veil lifted during such a low frequency. Those who are just coming in, you kind of got to skip over some hurdles. You didn't really have to go through that. But don't worry, you're going to have your own vibrations to fight for and through as well. Now, this immunity is built from pretty much being born into a bloodline that's constantly under attack. If you were under attack since you were a child, and I mean people throwing warfare at you as a kid, or entities just trying to attach themselves to you because of your bloodline or because you're just anointed and that's how God said he wanted it to be, right? Then we have this physical immunity. No doubt they have to work in tandem, right? Because your mind and your spirit and your body has to be in one for it to work at its prime, for it to function as high and as best as it can, right? So if you have the ability to function in a certain frequency, then you are immune to a certain type of warfare, okay? We have to, since COVID, we've been hand sanitized down. And I don't think people realize it, but when you use hand sanitizer, you are actually killing the bacteria that fights off bacteria. I hope I'm making sense, okay? Those germs that we need, a lot of people call them good germs. I'm sorry, I don't know the book term for it, but you can easily Google it, right? Beautiful time to be alive, and it's a nice day and age. Just the age and source of information is all around us, and we should not be lacking too much knowledge, right? Now, during this time that we're living in, with all these different immunities, all these different diseases, we need to raise our immunity, right? And this is body and spirit. So I'm not saying go out there and allow people to practice different rituals on you and give people like your hair and your pictures to put on their altars. No. And Christianity is called testing the spirit, where you use your discernment, right? to feel certain energies out, certain spirits out. You want to get to know, what this frequency is before you get to make any judgments, but allow the creator to lead you in making that judgment and making the decision in this assessment, right? Don't let your ego do it. Now, like I said, since COVID, a lot of people have been kind of, I would hope, being a little cleaner, okay? And I'm not encouraging anyone to be dirty, but I'm saying the entire biosphere is shifting, right? So that's land, water, dirt, the sky, underneath the ocean, underneath the dirt, all the dark places, the dark and cold places that we cannot see where living things dwell, right? The parts that we have access to and the things that we do not. All of it is changing. It's all evolving. We're in a new environment, right? So because we're in a new physical and spiritual environment, you have to think and imagine that new things will be coming, okay? For us to gain an immunity to. So the warfare is to build you up for stronger warfare, right? Most people who are a certain amount of centuries or life cycles old, they have had warfare thrown at them from all of the 7 seas, right? From every region and pocket that you can think of, right? Some of the worst, even physical poison, different types of manipulation. This warfare spills over into the physical. As you mature, as you age, as you wisen up, as you phase through, right? You get to learn different aspects of yourself, physically as well as spiritually. So your tolerance to toxicity, to poison, to things that would essentially make a normal person say, oh, hell no. This is being used to build you up physically and spiritually, right? We have to become immune because this environment that we're living in, not only is it advancing and changing, it's balancing out, right? So you want to be somewhere in the center where you have some of the old stuff. You can take some of the old stuff, but you're strong enough and tested and tried enough to be able to transition into the new. Okay? So whatever that means for you, of course, it would behoove you to do some research on the new, bacterias and germs and different strands of these different families of viruses and all of these different points of contact, and educating yourself on the history, right? Because we come from the history, but we're creating the future. So that's where that balance comes from, right? We're in the middle. We are like the last, and I mean we as in this generation, anyone who was born before 2000, 95, 2000, I would say we're like the last of those who are going to catch chicken pox and have different types of allergies, right? Because our genes have mutated. We've grown an immunity to these different strands of bacteria and viruses and all these different ailments, right? We're immune to that. So now as a human race, as a people, as a community of people, we can now graduate and excel and move on to the next thing, whatever that may be, right? Once you start doing your research, you'll be able to pinpoint where this stuff may be coming from, where we're going, as a group, where we're being led to, and how this stuff can essentially help us if we're paying attention, but it can hinder us if we're not paying attention, right? Obviously. No one has a full picture or idea of what's coming, but each of us have a little small piece of it, right? Each of us have one little small section and portion of what we're going into as people who are gifted, as people who are standing for God, representing God, using our gifts for the greater good, allowing God to guide us, right? If you use your gifts for bad, I really don't know what to tell you. I can't identify with that, so I'm not exactly sure what type of advice I would be able to give you. This is for people who use their gifts for good, okay? I'm not judging. I don't judge. I just don't have really any advice for anyone who I don't. You got to talk to God, right? I don't have any advice for anyone who's not using their gifts for the greater good and to help people and to do what God has created them for and to do, okay? Now, before we go, I do think it's important that we understand that, because we've gone over this, your diet, getting good rest, drinking your water, and your water doesn't always have to come through actual water. It can come through your fruits and your vegetables as well. Staying stress-free as possible. And just being at peace, right? You're fasting. All of these things are good to build your immune system, okay? Exercise, laughter, love, all that good stuff. I don't have to tell you what to stay away from. We know those things already. Spiritually, ironically, other than your fast and your faith and just the consistency and using your gifts, what's required to build the immunity for both is pretty much to be around people, to get around people, to be in the midst of people, to be of service. And we've talked about this. We know this. We've gone over this. But this is just making the point that, all of this stuff is connected. A lot of things come up again after we've discussed it, or they come up in short, and then we have like a little more detailed conversation about it later. So it's up to you. However you decide to go about building your immune system and building your spiritual immunity, that's your choice, right? Do your thing. I'm not trying to tell you how to do anything. I'm just letting you know that the Creator wants us to have a strong spiritual immune and a strong physical immune functioning system, okay? Because it's one thing to be strong, but does it work? How does it function, right? Are you actively using these systems to ensure that they're efficient, okay? And that's important, especially right now with these shifts that we're going through, all these different transitions. It's literally gonna be like a for real war between people who are conscious and who are not. Because the people who are conscious are going to start making different decisions, being in different environments, and it's going to be a physical shift, right? We're starting to see it already. You can see who dresses different, who listens to different music, who eats different foods, who frequents different, places and has different hobbies, and just the things that are going on in their daily lives, right? We can see the difference now. And it's going to become more distance between the conscious and those who are still sleepwalking. And I don't know which side you want to be on, but I know where I want to be, right? I don't want to be vibrating so low that I can't, blend in with society. But I'm going to end it here. I do love you all. I hope all is well. I hope y'all are drinking your water, eating your fruit and vegetables, and sipping on your own tea because it is free. Enjoy your weekend. Love ya. Peace.